Hey guys, how you doing? This is Keyon Corniffe, also known as Mr. Finance, your favorite financial educator and business coach. Welcome back to day 4. Do you know how to build wealth? Right? And building wealth requires you to build wealth with what? Confidence. I want you to say this with me. Build wealth with confidence. All right? You got to know. You got to know how to build wealth and do it with confidence. That way, once you build it, you know it's not going anywhere, and you know how to do it over and over and over again. That's what wealth building is all about. Building it with confidence, know the step-by-step process in order to build that wealth. So that way you can start winning the money game and start to grow your investments and really go after the things that you want. So let's break it all down. Now, what is this called? It's called the wealth formula. All right, the wealth formula. This is how you build wealth with confidence. Once you understand a step-by-step process and how does it work. You see, money plus time plus or minus rate of return minus inflation minus tax, that equals wealth. And how's it equals wealth for you and your family? Let me show you how you can do this. When you're going to build wealth, you want to master one thing and one thing only. You got to find the money. And the way you find the money, if you've been into class 2, where we show you how to budget, that's how you find the money. Because now that your budget is there, you learn what was your 10%, and now you figured out your 10%. Now let's show you how that money on a month-to-month basis with time, and plus with the right amount of compounding interest on that money that could beat inflation and taxes at a tax-free distribution settings, guess what? You can start build your wealth as well. Now, the issue is many of us see this formula, we never understand the concept of why it's so important. Now, when it comes to money, let's talk about money. Do we truly understand what money is? Because understanding money, it requires us to develop a mindset. And the mindset that you want to develop is the develop of where you start to learn how to pay yourself first. Paying yourself first is such an important thing for you to learn. And if you don't learn how to pay yourself first, then you're going to put yourself in a position where money will become a hard thing for you to acquire. Now, when you talk about paying yourself first, I'm talking about like this. Imagine the fact that you start treating yourself like a bill. The same way you pay your light bill, your car note, and your student loans. What if you start paying yourself first? Instead of spending your pay, save your pay. Save your pay. Don't spend it. Pay yourself first. If you live a lifestyle now that most people don't want to live, you will live a lifestyle later that most people can only dream about. And the way you do that is by paying yourself first. Start putting away 10%. Did you know if you were saving $10 a day, if you were saving $10 a day, that's $300 a month. And you put that money where you're getting an 8% interest on that money. Did you know that over 30 years, it would have grew to $447,000+? What if you were doing $20 a day, $600 a month, and you did the same thing for the next 30 years and got an interest of 8%? Did you know you would have $894,000+? So you got to think about why is it so important to save? It's because time. No matter what, your money going to need time, guys. Let me tell you something. Time is money. But they also said that procrastination is the enemy of savings. Do not procrastinate to save. Do not procrastinate to start to save money, because there's two things going to happen to you. It's either you live too long or you die too soon. The thing is, are you prepared for either one of them? That's the question that you got to ask self. Am I prepared for if I die too soon and if I live too long? Time. It is one of the most wealthiest things that we have, and we all don't treat it like such. You got to understand the importance of time. It takes time for money to grow. It takes time for wealth to be built. You can't build wealth overnight unless you won the lottery or you have a rich uncle that you inherit some money. But if you're going to build this thing from the ground up, you're going to need some time. And the way that you speed up this thing is by understanding the rate of return. Now, how many of us understand compound interest? Do you know there's a difference between compound interest and simple interest? Do you know that most banks give you simple interest on your money? How many of you are receiving compound interest right now as we speak on the money that you're saving and investing in it? And then you got to think about this. How frequently are you getting this? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it semi-quarterly? Or is it annually? How frequently are you getting compound interest on your money? And then how do you calculate how does that money return for you? There's something called the rule of 72, guys. There's something called the rule of 72. Write that down, the rule of 72. Now, the rule of 72 said that if you take 72 and you divide it by whatever interest you're receiving on your money, that equal the amount of years it takes for that money to double for you or against you, which means that you would then take 72. And let's say that the bank was giving you 1% interest in your money, which we know they don't, but let's say that they did. If the bank gave you 1% interest in your money, and you take 72, divided into by one going to 72 times, that's the equal. That means it would take you 72 years for your $100 to become $200. My question is, do you have 72 years to wait if a bank was giving you 1%? This is how you determine how many years. Now think about what is the interest on your credit cards. What is the interest on your car note? What is the interest on your mortgage? What is the interest on your student loans? What is the interest on the loans or debts that you have right now? How much compounding interest are people making against you? Because this is why it says plus or minus. You see, the rate of return could work for you or it could work against you. And that's why it's important for you to learn how to make sure that the real interest is working for you. How many of you know what's the real rate of return? Do you know there's a formula, a step-by-step formula to learn? Imagine if you were saving $100 today and you were getting a 3% interest on that money. 3% of 100, that's $3. And now you're making $3, now you got $103. But let's calculate that taxes was at 25%, federal and state. Now you're going to take that 25% from that $3, because remember, you pay tax on capital gains. So now you're taking $3 and you're taxing it by 25%. Now you got to pay 75 cents. You got 75 cents in taxes. Now you're left over with $102.25, right? So now you pay all those taxes. Now you're left with $102.25. Now after inflation comes into play, and now let's say inflation is at 3.5%. 3.5%. Now you got to take away that $3.5 from that money. You're left over with less than what you started with. So if you're not earning 5% or better on your money, you're not even nowhere to keep up with inflation. Did you know that inflation right now is at 6.2%? Did you know that inflation is at 6.2%? What does that mean for your money? It means that for every dollar or for every $100, minus $6.20 plus cents. How would you like to minus that? That means that your buying power is going down. See, inflation, guys, is known to be a silent killer. It's like carbon monoxide. You can't see it, you can't taste it. Be around it long enough, you definitely will die from it. And that's what inflation is to our money. It's a silent killer. But did you know inflation happens every time when the Federal Reserve print money? Every time our country print more money than the country actually earned, then we lose value. Then we lose value of our money. That's why we've been losing the money game for all these years. It's because many of us never put our money where it could keep up with inflation. Now imagine that you wanted to retire. Imagine you want to retire and you said, you know what? I want $4,000 coming into me on a month-to-month basis. Now you're making this decision based upon the fact that, hey, things cost me around $3,000 right now. I wouldn't mind an extra $1,000. So you make this decision based upon what things cost you today. Did you know that 20 years later, at a 3% inflation rate, you will now need to have $7,224 a month to have the same buying power or purchasing power like you planned for with the 4,020 years prior? How many of you guys are prepared for this? How many of you guys are planning your future and keeping inflation in mind? And think about what the cost of living will be 20 years from now. And then you got to think about taxes. Where are you putting your money? Are you putting your money in a taxable bracket or a tax deferred bracket or a tax advantage bracket? Are you putting your money where you get taxed never? And that's why it's so important to understand these brackets, because 90% of the people, right, have put their money where they get taxed the most. Did you know that 85% of the population save and invest their money where they get taxable money, where the money is taxable, which means the money gets taxed now? This is in their checking accounts, savings accounts, CDs, also known as certificates of deposits, mutual funds, stocks. All of these vehicles are considered to be taxable, which means that you'll be taxed upon the gains. Anytime you start taking distribution, you will be taxed upon the gains. Then you have tax later. Tax later, also known as tax deferred. That's where 10% of the population learn to save or invest for their retirement. Now you're doing this. You use things like 401ks, 403bs, 457s, 403bs, IRAs, SEP IRAs, annuities, and pensions. These vehicles are known to be tax deferred brackets, which means that you're going to pay a whole lot of taxes on this money here upon distribution. So every time you start taking withdrawals, you're going to be taxed upon every withdrawals. And at the end of the year, you're also going to be taxed as ordinary income. Then you have to wait till 59 and a half before you can start touching the money. And if you do so before that, you may lose up to 30 to 40% of that money. Then if you don't take the money by your 72th birthday, you will lose 50% of your money because you failed to take out the required minimum distribution. That's tax deferred for you. Then you have tax advantage. Also means that you don't get taxed never. Means that anytime you take money from here, it's tax free. That means when it gains money, when the money grows, it's also tax free. No tax upon gains, no tax upon distribution. That's why they use vehicles like anything with a Roth, things like municipal bonds, 529 college savings plan, HSAs, health savings account, life insurance, long-term care. These vehicles, municipal bonds, these vehicles give you tax-free distribution because it's underneath the tax advantage tax bracket. So once you understand how the wealth formula works, you can use this as a guide to build your wealth. So you got to put your money where with the right amount of time plus the right amount of compound interest and the money that you're borrowing or using, you make sure that the interest is very low against you. Then you also got to make sure that the interest that you're earning on the money is enough to keep up with inflation, and you put that money where you can eliminate taxes so that way you're paying no taxes and you can have more wealth in the end. That's how you use the wealth formula to start building wealth, and I hope that gives you a lot more understanding. So make sure that you tune in and you go over this with me again, so that way we could do this on a one-on-one and give you the game plan and show you how to strategize and start winning. Guys, in day 5, you will learn where to put that money and how to strategize and make it work for you, and learn how that you could start creating your own banks and show yourself and use the same thing that the banks are using to build wealth, and you can do it for yourself as well. So always remember, guys, you are one decision away from changing the future for the better. So always remember that the choice is always yours. My name is Keyon Corniffe, also known as Mr. Finance, your favorite financial educator and business coach. And I'll see you guys at day 5. God bless you.